My goal is to rebuild this old frame and turn it into this sweet cart for 250 bucks.
Oh, dude, sweet!
Go. So when I found the frame for 50 bucks, I was off to a good start. Now, I guarantee people are gonna comment that frames are not that cheap in their area. And I agree, 99% of the time. And frames for 50 bucks only pop up every once in a while. So as soon as you see one, you gotta hop on it that quick, or just know if you need one right away, you're gonna be paying a little extra to get going. There wasn't much here, so the complete teardown only took about 15 minutes. Things I could see offhand that I was going to need was an engine, and I'll show you the easiest way to hook up a Predator 212, a seat cushion, definitely going to be adding a new brake band. 10 bucks is well worth being able to stop. And the guy I bought this from said the rear wheels are shot. Now the tires don't look too bad, and they even hold air, so I'm guessing he meant the bearings. Yeah, those are toast. So to keep costs down, I'm gonna try to keep it as original as possible. You don't need to take off all of the paint, just enough to scuff it up and take out all the big dents and chips. I would add a primer if I were going to be changing the colors, but since you already saw the thumbnail, I'm sticking with the red theme here. My can of choice is the Rust-Oleum Paint Plus Primer, and it turned out freaking awesome. Went through 2 cans of the red and a half of the black. Remember how I just told you to make any frame changes prior to paint? Well, here we are. Adding a bracket onto the back for a little surprise at the end. Just try not to breathe in any of that burning paint. Time for reassembly. So being a go-kart, the bolts will rattle and shake. There's no need to go get new hardware unless it's one of the critical bolts. So keep an eye on those nylon locking nuts, and if they're totally not locking, well, grab some new ones, or just put a dab of Loctite on the threads. At first glance, the frame did look pretty bare, but diving into it, I was excited to see that it had the brake and throttle pedals and linkages, along with the spindles and all of the tie rods for the steering. So I did mention earlier that the frame did come with the throttle linkage, and in reality, it only came half. It goes from the pedal right down here to the bar, and it ends with that return spring. But we need to add a mini bracket to stop that sheathing. So do some more welding, some paint touch-up. So now we get that little cable to pass through, and that's where the sheathing itself stops, but allows the cable to go through. Time for the Predator 212. Now, I've used so many of these on go-karts, and if you winterize them and use ethanol-free gas, they'll start up every time. Then up on top of the engine, first, good luck finding the 10mm socket. We're going to take off and loosen the air filter, loosen those bolts, and that gives us access to this throttle linkage. Loosen the bolt up on top, and that makes it so then it can easily move back and forth. Predators have an easy setup to add the cable. You can either come in on the side like I am, or if you've got a longer cable, swoop it around and come in from the back.
That's what she said.
Tighten down on this bracket onto the sheathing itself. Send the cable through this little bolt and tighten it down. Now you should be able to push on the pedal and see it in action. As to not have to pull start into the back of the seat, you can actually take off these 3 bolts, rotate it, and then it allows you to pull it from the back. To know what size brake band to use, measure the brake drum itself. This is a 4.5-inch band. Both the rear tires needed new bearings. It is really easy to fix and less than $10. You just gotta knock out the old bearings, and since we're not gonna be reusing them, just use a screwdriver or whatever you have to pop them out. And for the new ones, make sure you're using either a rubber mallet or just put a piece of wood in between those as to not damage the new ones. The rims may not look the best, but hey, they still hold air and still have tread on them, so I'm gonna keep using them until they're shot. Now, lots of people like to paint the sprocket, and that is just fine. Make sure you do not paint the brake drum. You'll take away all that good friction it needed to stop the cart. A little $10 chain breaker is well worth it. I did not mention it before, but the motor mounting bolts were loose. Now once the chain and tension is set, then go ahead and tighten them up. As another bonus, it did come with the seat frame, but no cushion. So let's add one. I first start off by cutting out a backer, and I typically cut this slightly smaller than the actual frame itself. And you can use either plywood or OSB, doesn't matter. I like to get it at least 3/4 of an inch. Now, depending on how you're going to attach it to the frame, I like using these T-nuts. So they come in many different sizes. The 5/16 inch work great, so you're just going to oversize that hole slightly and they just hammer right in place. You'll see that I am using marine grade vinyl. This works great for seats and it does well outdoors. I'm going to start on one side, just stapling it up and down, stretch it up and over the other side and staple away. Now I'm going to switch over to some 2-inch foam and do the exact same thing. And now this is for the back panel. And we don't need as much foam. We're not sitting on it. It's just for the back. The 2-inch works great. Went to the Zon Gods for the cheapest go-kart steering wheel I could find. Good. I did pick up some cheap Harbor Freight wheels, but after putting up some slicks and trying them on, yeah, those look so much better. Perfect. Yep. That's plenty. The guy previously had put this checkered plate on there, and hey, it still looks pretty good. Added a new kill switch, which you can easily wire back to the engine, and of course, some effect lights. The bracket that I had attached earlier, yep, that was for this battery. Go. The top speed is about 25 miles per hour. That is with a 60-tooth rear sprocket and a 12-tooth centrifugal clutch sprocket. And I went just a little over on the price, but the lights and kill switch, yep, they're worth it.